Well, here we are again, another game one loss for the Boston Celtics. Jimmy Butler's mental edge shines through against Jayson Tatum, and I have some words of encouragement for you all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Thank you for making this show part of your daily routine and your first listen every day. I am here for you Monday through Friday, and whenever post-game games, post-game playoff games, post-games need to be done. I am just delirious with fatigue, and maybe the Celtics were too, and I'm going to keep that in. I am not stopping down after the Boston Celtics 118-107 loss to the Miami Heat in game one of the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm John Karalis. I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've written a book called Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars. I was one of the media voters for the Celtics 75th anniversary team. I am here at the FTX Arena, right here on the floor courtside by the ESPN broadcast booth here. And hopefully you are a subscriber, a new subscriber. Maybe you're a Miami Heat fan, here to hate, listen, and make fun of me for all of the things I said on the Crossover podcast. Welcome. I just want to let you know you're not the first fan base to do this. So just proceed with caution. Milwaukee Bucks fans got all up in their feelings too, and we saw where that got them. Anyway, subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube. You can see exactly where I'm sitting at the FTX Arena. So later on, I'll get to my words of encouragement. In the second segment, I will talk about the Tatum Jimmy Butler matchup because that became a thing. But let's just start with the game here. And I guess the third quarter is really where this game was lost. It's obviously where this game was lost because they were outscored 39-14. But the Celtics did a good job that first half. Let me see if I can pull up the first half box score here. I like having these paper box scores. It's easy to sift through. Easier for me to hold on to. First quarter, Celtics look 10 points out of Jayson Tatum, 5 of 8 shooting. They came out hot, 28. They came out hot. And Tyler Hero was the savior. You can say, look, we talk about clutch baskets all the time, clutch play. And I love to say that clutch play doesn't happen just in the fourth quarter, doesn't just happen late in games. I can go back to that first quarter when the Celtics had a big lead. They were building a big lead. When Tyler Hero came in and the Celtics couldn't stop him, and he was running pick and rolls and getting lobs, and he had, 3 assists in the first quarter? Hero had 7 points, 3 assists, in the first quarter, 3 of 5 shooting, 1 of 2 from 3. He came in and led the Heat with 7 points. That right there is why the third quarter was even possible for the Miami Heat. If he doesn't come in and have that 7-point first quarter and doesn't come in and start running pick and rolls like he was and getting the Heat back into this and making it a 3-point game at the end of the first quarter, who knows what happens in that third quarter? Maybe they don't have that same level of fire, or maybe that level of fire doesn't carry them as far as it does, because that 28-25 easily could have been 28-15 if Tyler Hero doesn't come through. But the Celtics came out great. Robert Williams, great in the first quarter, great in the first half. Forced into, and I should mention this. I have to mention this right away. Al Horford in health and safety protocols. Don't know what the deal is. Don't know how he ended up in health and safety. Also don't know how it's possible that he might play in game 2, but that's what Ime Udoka said. He might play in game 2. So that's something that we'll see. Marcus Smart didn't play, midfoot strain. By the way, Marcus Smart might have had a strained foot, but his fit was very healthy. That outfit was amazing. Miami chic. I loved it. I can't pull it off. If I tried to wear that, it would look decidedly different. But Marcus Smart, I just got to say this right away. Looking good, my man. Looking good on these sidelines. And by the way, coaching the guys up. He was very active during the game. He was up in the huddles. He was talking to the refs. I mean, he was extraordinarily involved in this game. So hopefully he can be back in uniform for game 2. Having Horford and Smart might help the Celtics in what ended up being an 11-point game. But first half, Tatum was great. Rob was great. You got great minutes from Aaron Nesmith, who still can't shoot a lick, and I can't figure that out at all. But he was 0 of 3 from 3. But in the first half especially, very active defensively and all of that stuff. So the Celtics, they put up 3 points. They won the first quarter by 3. They won the second quarter 34-29. They won that by 5. So they go into the half up 8. They won the fourth quarter 31-25, and that was mostly they were trying to play. Miami got up by 20. The Celtics cut it down to 10. But it's that third quarter where they were outscored 39-14. They gave up a 39-point third quarter, and that was just a comedy of errors. That might have been one of the worst quarters that we've seen this team play this year in the Ime Udoka era, because that just stood out as a horrible performance. Let's look at these numbers here. Jayson Tatum, 5 points, 6 turnovers. He did get to the line 5 times. Didn't hit a basket. Jaylen Brown didn't hit a basket. They were combined 0 for 6 in the quarter. He had 2 points. Jaylen did 2 turnovers. 8 turnovers in the quarter for the Celtics. That's bad. That's 32 turnovers for the game. If that extrapolated out, that's significantly horrible. And they were all Tatum or Brown, mostly Tatum. He had 6. After the game, Tatum took responsibility. He said, look, obviously I don't want to turn the ball over 6 times, but that's on me. I got to be better. So we'll see how that goes. I'll talk more about that in the next segment. But the third quarter, just comedy of errors. And the thing about the third quarter was very self-inflicted, very terrible turnovers. This game, to me, turned after the Celtics call a timeout with six and change left. They had an 8-point lead. It flipped over to an 8-point deficit. Celtics call a timeout. You want to come out of the timeout strong, right? And the Celtics actually have had a history of coming out of timeout strong. Ime calls timeouts. They tend to respond. Nope, not in this one. Jayson Tatum, 2 straight turnovers, ripped by Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler in the passing lane, selling out, making the steals, finishing at the rim twice. One was a fadeaway, one was a dunk. And then later on, Tatum got ripped straight up by Butler. Shout out to Aaron Nesmith for making an amazing block on that play. Couple of amazing blocks, by the way, for Aaron Nesmith. Stop the 3-on-1 break. That's significantly hard to do. Like that's impossible to do. Not many guys stop 3-on-1 breaks, and that's just an easy dunk, and he did it. So kudos to him for that. But Tatum in the third quarter, getting the ball stolen by Jimmy Butler 3 times, and the 2 steals out of the timeout were the worst because one was just a simple cross-court pass to Jaylen Brown, and he just telegraphed it, and Jimmy Butler was just kind of waiting, kind of hanging low, and boom, pounced. Next one, he just got the ball to Robert Williams. Robert Williams is setting up, kind of like trying to, high post. And here comes Jimmy Butler right behind Rob, steals it because Tatum, put the ball in a position where he could get the ball stolen and didn't recognize that Butler was behind him. Those are bad turnovers. Bad turnovers. Celtics just killing themselves, and they couldn't pull out of this tailspin. That's like the hardest part to really accept, that after a team blows a game like Game 5 against the Milwaukee Bucks, that you say, okay, this is happening again. Let's get it together. Let's not snowball. But the Celtics in this one just did. We can say tired legs, maybe. Like you go out, you have a first half. I can see a team coming in a little exhausted. These teams that are tired, they tend to come in and play well right away because that's when you have your most energy. Beginning, they're not going to come in and go slow and then pick it up later. A lot of times you come in and just give that big burst and you play well. Then you go into the half and you say, oh, all right, we got them right where we want them. Then you come out a little lazy. And if you're tired, you can't get it back. But the Celtics just have to find a way to dig deep and get it back. They didn't. That's the story of this game. Third quarter, they came out, Miami came out and played extraordinarily hard. All of a sudden, everything in the middle of the paint was contested. Bam Adebayo was blocking everything. Steals all over the place. I mean, that was a great response by the Heat out of the half. Like they understood that, and it might have been just a natural thing, right? No Horford, no Smart. Teams do this all the time. You say, here's a team that's exhausted. They're missing two starters. We just got to come in here and, we'll roll them. And the Celtics come out with that energy, like I said, and they didn't get rolled. Miami adjusts at halftime, like we always know that they will, because they're not going to go away. And they come into the third quarter and they just smacked the Celtics, and the Celtics had no response at all. And if I have to criticize them for anything, it's that in the middle of this, when they had that timeout, those two turnovers were just so completely inexcusable that that's where the game was lost. Once that happened, you're like, oh, forget it. Celtics made a token run at the end. Jaylen Brown had a big fourth quarter, but the damage was already done. He had a big fourth quarter, but I'm going to pull out the first through third. Jaylen, 3 of 12 first through third, 9 points, 1 of 5 from 3. I mean, he finally got a groove in the fourth quarter and scored 15 points to kind of stabilize his night in the box score, but a little too late. Celtics did have a chance in the fourth quarter. They did. I mean, it was like an 8-point game, a 10-point game with 8 minutes to go. They had it there. They just never had that little extra oomph. So, I mean, I'm going to go with that third quarter Jimmy Butler 2 straight steal stretch and say that's where I knew I was like, this is not happening today. If you want some good news, I expected them to lose this game. Like when I wrote my preview, when I was talking it through, I thought, okay, if I'm really saying Celtics in 6, how's this thing going to go? I say, okay, split in Miami, then it's a home court series. I wrote that on Boston Sports Journal. When I wrote the preview, it's published before the game, so it's there. I thought they were going to lose this game, and I said that before Smart and Horford were out. So I thought this would be the game that they lose. Now they can come back and win on Thursday. If they do that, then they get home court back, and if you just hold home court, then you get Celtics in 6. So I think the mistakes that were made in the third quarter that really put this game away are correctable mistakes. They fouled Jimmy Butler how many times? He went to the line 18 times. He went to the line 10 times in the third quarter alone. Don't foul him. How many times did I have to say that? I said in the last podcast, if you can wall him off, he wants to get to the rim. If he hits a couple of jumpers, the only thing he's going to do is use your overreaction to those jumpers to get to the free throw line. He's not going to keep taking jumpers. He's not like some of these Celtics who you hit a couple of threes and you're like, oh, all right, hit a couple of jumpers, like it's going to be all jumpers from now on. No, Butler, you hit a couple of jumpers, he's going to up fake you. He always wants to up fake you and draw the foul. Everybody knows it's coming. The Celtics didn't respond to it. So I think it's correctable stuff. I'll get more into that later on. Up next, Jimmy Butler. More on Jimmy Butler, who his mental edge came through in this one. And after, all the stuff that I talked about Jimmy Butler in the crossover podcast, this is the one thing that I was afraid of. Jayson Tatum, better player. Yep. Is it close? Still, nope. Not generally speaking, but in the fourth quarter of this game, yep. Or in the third quarter of this game, in the second half of this game, Jimmy Butler, mental edge on display. We'll talk about that after I talked to you about AG1 from Athletic Greens. It's a product that I use every day. I know a lot of the guys on the network have started taking AG1 because look, we're on the road. I'm on the road. I'm here in Miami. You get a packet of this. They have travel packets, or if you're at home, you get a scoop. You put in some water. I know that while I'm running around and trying like hell to keep my nutrition somewhat balanced, I know I can at least count on AG1 to give me 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. It's going to help me start my day off right. It's going to support my gut health, my nervous system, my immune system, energy, recovery, focus, aging, all of those things. It's all part of the AG1 impact. It's lifestyle friendly. So if you're keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, it's all there. And it only contains 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, nasty chemicals, artificial, anything, and it still tastes good. AG1 is a small micro habit with big benefits. It's one thing you can do every single day to take great care of yourself. And it only costs $3 a day. If you're going to invest your health in your health, spend the $3 a day on Athletic Greens AG1 rather than that cold brew habit. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That is it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. How about going to Locked On NBA Big Board? Make that your second listen every day if you want to get caught up with the draft. Orlando Magic won the draft lottery. So Rafael Barlow is going to get updated big boards with now knowing the entire draft order. So check him out. Rafael is extraordinarily good at this. He's out there scouting people in person. He knows what he's talking about. So check out Locked On NBA Big Board wherever you get your podcasts. Celtics lose to the Miami Heat in part because Jimmy Butler scored 41 points on 17 of 18 free throws, 12 of 19 from the field. Those numbers are just insane. 12 of 19 and 17 of 18 free throws. How do you let that happen? Tell you how it happens is he just has this thing inside of him that pushes himself to new levels. I keep talking about that mental thing that pushes your body past its limits. And that's what Jimmy Butler is able to do. As much as I can have my belief in who Jayson Tatum is, what he is as a player, the talent level, and how much I would take Jayson Tatum to start my team 100 times out of 100. It's that mental thing that Jimmy Butler has that allows him to be this kind of player in these kinds of situations. You don't see him having these gigantic 40-point stretches and having games like this all the time, but he's a good player. He's an all-star level player. In that third quarter, Jimmy just went crazy. Third quarter, like I said before, 25 points. Plus 25, 17 points, 9 of 10 from the free throw line, 4 of 5. So he scores 17 points on 5 shots because he keeps getting to the line. And the Celtics just obliged, as Ime said after the game, a lot of swipes, a lot of people like making mistakes. Why are we doing this? Why are you reaching? Why are you swiping? Why are you biting on fakes? You know that he wants to hit you with fakes. Don't bite on his jump shots. Don't. He's going to hit a few, fine. But like I said before, every single jump shot that he takes is just setting up the up fake for him to get by you and to try to get to the rim and to get to the line. He said after the game, I like the physicality. I like to run into people and see who's going to fall down first. I want to see who quits first. That's a great mentality to have, man. That's the type of mentality that, you can say what you want about Jimmy Butler and the way he's handled certain situations. And maybe some of the stuff that he says and does is off-putting to some people, but that attitude that he has is first of all, it works for him. Second of all, in this arena, on this floor behind me, like these floors, that attitude serves people well. To say, I want to run into people and see who quits first, run into you over and over and over and over again. I mean, you just saw it with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Same thing, same plan. Tatum, you forget sometimes that Tatum is 24 and he's still learning some of this stuff and still getting to that place. And it's not to say that he can't get to a mental place where he can be what Jimmy Butler was. He can certainly be a superstar level player. He is a superstar level player. I mean, Tatum, he was on his way in that first half to a tremendous night. And if he didn't have that little bit of a lull, that first half, he was really, wow, I got a bunch of first quarter box scores. I just looked down. I'm like, there's like 5 first quarter box scores. I don't have the first half box scores. But it was like 9 of 14, 21 points, I think it was, that in the first half for Tatum. He was on his way to this kind of night. He was halfway to the type of night that Jimmy Butler had. And then in the third quarter, it just all fell apart. What the difference is in a game like this, in some nights, Tatum, this could be the aberration. That's fine. This doesn't change my opinion on anything. It's not backtracking. It's just, this is what this game was. And for the Miami Heat fans who didn't listen all the way through to the pod on the Heat podcast, the crossover podcast, it did say that it's certainly possible that the Heat could win and that Jimmy Butler can lead this team to a NBA Finals berth. Absolutely. If he does this stuff and Jayson Tatum doesn't respond. But where Tatum needs to get to is when things are spiraling just a little too often. Like for Tatum, this second half was like game 3 against Milwaukee. Just a little too often it happens where he lets things just spiral a little bit of snowballing happening there. Gets maybe caught up in the officiating, gets caught up in whatever emotional thing he's dealing with on the floor. And he said it in the Brooklyn series. I'm generally a laid back guy, but between the lines, I'm emotional. And sometimes my emotions get the best of me. I think Tatum is still kind of honing that where the emotions go. And that's tough. It's tough to be emotional on the floor and channel it the right way because emotions are irrational, right? Like that's just in general. Emotions don't make sense. Sometimes people get certain emotions that you're like, I didn't expect to be upset at something. I didn't expect to be sad about something. Sometimes that just happens. And sometimes on a basketball court, that just happens. You didn't expect to be upset about certain things or get caught up in these moments. Like, I mean, I even asked Tatum, I don't know if you find the post game, I even phrase it like this. We all know no one wants to get outscored 39-14. Jayson Tatum doesn't want to turn the ball over 6 times in a quarter. Who would go in there and be like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to do. Or I'm not upset about that. Like, no, of course Tatum didn't want to play like that in the third quarter. He was generally fine with that. Besides that, of course he wants to outplay Jimmy Butler. Of course he wants to be the guy sitting there on the podium talking about I scored 40 some odd points and led my team to a game 1 win. Of course. But in that moment, when things are starting to go out of control, Tatum needs to just be a little bit better about just fine tuning the dial where the emotions go to the right place. Because Jimmy Butler's emotional too, but his emotions go to the right place. He's 33 and still getting this done. Tatum is 24. He's got to get to that point. It's just another little step. Tatum's still a superstar. Tatum could come out and drop 50 in game 2. Entirely possible. But he could also drop 15. And I'm not sure. Like, it depends on a lot of different factors. I would lean closer to the 50, but that he still needs to have just a little bit more. Just dial it in a little bit more. And that's why a series like this is good. It's good for him to go through this and see, because that's how you learn. All right, I'm going to have words of encouragement when I come back. Now, first, I have words of Built Bar encouragement. Does that make sense? Probably not, but whatever. Because birthday cake puffs are here. Think about dipping your finger into a plastic tub of birthday cake frosting and opening your eyes and realizing it's just 150 calories and 16 grams of protein. That's what a birthday cake puff from Built is. I got a shipment of these. I was in a car. I've been saying this before. If you haven't heard me say it, I was in a car with a 13-year-old. And when I opened this up, I was like, oh, hey, you want one? He said, sure. And then he went and got another one after that. That's how delicious they are. 13-year-olds don't just go back for more if they're like unsure. If they don't like something, he would have taken one bite and spit it out. He went back for a second one. And I left those. So those are probably gone. They're not going to be there when I get back. And they might not be at Built Bar, not at built.com if you don't order them now. If you're interested in Built Puffs, it's basically like a marshmallow that's infused with protein and covered in chocolate. And yeah, it's just amazing. And like I said, 150 calories, 16 grams of protein, only 9 grams of sugar. That's amazing to get all of that with 100% real chocolate, so you can eat healthy and actually enjoy these as treats or whatever, meal replacements. And they're made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently. So go to built.com, use the promo code LOCK15. You'll get 15% off your order. That's LOCKED15, LOCKED, LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Today's show also brought to you by Rock Auto. You can save time and money using Rock Auto. In one of the recent videos, someone dropped a YouTube comment, needed brake pads, went to Rock Auto, saved a ton of money. And he was surprised at how much money he saved. So shout out to you for going to rockauto.com and making sure that you wrote locked on in their how did you hear about us box. That's how they know that we sent you. But when you go to Rock Auto and you need something like brake pads, which I wouldn't know what to do with brake pads. I know that they go on to something that stops your car. That's the end of my knowledge, but good for you for knowing what to do with the brake pads and how to install them and all that stuff. It's great that you got to save some money. I'm going to go get my windshield wipers when I need them. I'm going to go get new floor mats when I need them. That's what I'm going to do at rockauto.com. You can get it all. So go check it out. It's a very expansive catalog with price points all over the place. You want a premium part, you want a budget part, whatever your budgetary needs are, your desires are, it's there at Rock Auto. So go check it out. Don't spend 30 to 50 to 100% more at some chain store or some dealership. Do it yourself at home from your computer. And like I said, make sure you write locked on in their hard to hear about us box. That's how they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. All right. Words of encouragement, because people come out of a game like this and you say, man, that sucked. I can't believe this. And you think you focus on everything that went wrong. All I got to say is that game 1 against the Milwaukee Bucks was worse than this, because the Celtics came out here in the first half, looked good. I came out of halftime thinking like, all right, tweak a couple of things, keep Tyler Hero in check, run away with this, steal a game 1 win, and, take advantage of them not being, serious when Horford and Smart were out. Like, just take advantage of them screwing up, steal the win. Whatever happens in game 2, great. If you win game 2, even better. But I was very confident at halftime. Okay, credit the Miami Heat. Come out physical, focused, all of that. Great, good for them. At the same time, we've been here before. We've seen this team lose game 1. Not a big deal. Losing game 1 of a series means nothing. It's a long series. You got to win 4. Okay, so yeah, if Boston has to win 4 of 6, they would have had to win 4 of 7. So you split this. Like I said before, you split this. You win Thursday. Then you go home, you win your 2 games at home, come back here. Miami goes up, and wins, and then you go home and close it out. 4-2, Celtics win. No big deal. Each game, Jaylen Brown loves to say this, each game is its own story. And it's true. He's absolutely right. Celtics could come in this next game. Miami could come out flat. Miami could come out great. Could be the flip side. Miami could come out and have a 15-point lead, and the Celtics could come storming back. You don't know. But I will say this. The stuff that the Celtics did well can be repeated. And obviously the Heat are going to be more prepared and better prepared. But it's repeatable. The Celtics didn't take a first quarter lead with, smoke and mirrors or just by being hot. I mean, yeah, they shot 11 of 22 and 3 of 7 from 3, but okay, that's because they got to the rim like at will. Points in the paint, Celtics had 16 in the first quarter. In the first half, they had 42. They ended up with 48 for the whole game, right? 48. Yeah. So 42 in the first half, 6 the rest of the way. So the Celtics can get to the paint. They can. Okay. So I think that's now 48 points, 50 points in the paint, maybe a bit much, but they can get to the paint. That's repeatable. What can you fix? Turnovers, not as many turnovers. Finished with what? 16 turnovers, giving up 19 points. Now, the Celtics did score 17 points off of 13 Miami turnovers. So I won't say that's why they lost necessarily because it was even, but it is why they lost because you didn't have to give up 19 points and 16 turnovers is a lot. Could have kept that down to 12, 11. That would have saved you a few points, right? Take care of the ball, value the ball, understand where everybody is on the floor. So that's another simple correctable thing. Don't foul Jimmy Butler. That's correctable. Don't give him 18 free throws. And I'll say, if he gets 18 free throws a game, then yeah, the Heat are going to win. I'm going to look like an idiot. And that's it. Congratulations to the Miami Heat. But it's very easy to not give him 18 free throws a game. Half of those free throws were, the Celtics biting on fakes and falling for Jimmy Butler tricks. And credit to him, you go for it. They work, and that's great. That's what he's supposed to do. Celtics got to be better. So do the same things that you were doing in the first half. Move the ball, attack, get to the rim, get to the line. Do that stuff again. Okay. You don't have to be a hot shooting team. Like, you're not going to hit a ton of 3-pointers. You don't have to. Celtics shot 32.5%, and they were within 11 to close the game. So do the stuff that you did right. Kind of the same. It's not hard to do. Fix a couple of those things. Like, seriously, just maybe blitz Tyler Hero a little bit. Take the ball out of his hands a little bit. Be a little tighter with your rotations behind it. Don't foul Jimmy Butler. Don't turn the ball over. Simple stuff. Very simple stuff. Turn this game. You could say that's you turn 11 point deficit into 11-point win out of that. And who knows what Tatum's going to do, and who knows what Jaylen Brown's going to do. Jaylen seemed pretty, happy that he got a 15-point fourth quarter, and that's a rhythm that he can maybe carry over. That'd be great. Be great if he did that. So I'm not coming out of this just like I didn't come out of game 1 against the Milwaukee Bucks panicked. I'm not coming out of this panicked. I think it's simple. I think it's simple stuff. And both teams are going to make their adjustments. Game 2 is going to be a brand new thing. And I'm pretty comfortable that the Celtics will have a strong chance of winning that game. I think they can win that game. So I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be there after game 2 on Thursday. I'll be here after game 3 on Saturday in Boston. I will be here for all of the games, bonus content. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. And by the way, for the first time ever, the Locked On Celtics podcast was the number one NBA show, most listened to show on the network. Bigger than the fantasy basketball show, bigger than Locked On NBA, bigger than anything. Locked On Celtics was the most listened to show last week on the NBA side of the network, which is amazing. It climbed to 50th in the iTunes all sports rankings, not just basketball, all sports, 50th. So thank you all so much for listening, subscribing, watching the show on YouTube, subscribing on YouTube. That all matters. And sharing the podcast is a big thing. Tell everybody, spread the word, tell your family, your friends, everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.